Good morning. How are you? Now we are moving to our part 4 recording class. Okay, accounting recording class. Yes, all of you have an idea about accounting basics such as definition of accounting, meaning of accounting, objectives of accounting, limitations of accounting, and functions of accounting. And we discussed some accounting concepts. Okay, we discussed the important accounting concepts. Okay, yes, and we discussed the heading of accounting conventions also. And one of the convention we discussed among that. And let's move to accounting conventions in detail now. Yes. First one, accounting convention, convention of consistency. See, accounting statements are prepared based on some preconceived idea and the same to be consistently followed. For example, a company estimates life of a machine being installed, say for X years. The rate of depreciation is decided based on that. The life of machine so decided will be constant throughout. I think we discussed this convention before. So, while we are doing accounting statements, we have to follow the rules of accounting consistently throughout the year or year after year. Okay. Yes. Here see the example. We took life of the machine 10 years, and we have to continue with that life of the machine 10 years. Okay, while we are doing depreciation calculation, we have to consider life of the machine 10 years. Okay, so we have to follow the accounting rules consistently year after year. See one more example. Uh, we are following written down value method for the calculation of depreciation. Okay, and in 2010 we calculated depreciation by using written down value method, and 2011 also we have to follow the same method. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 also we have to follow the same method. Okay, then only it will enable the comparison. Okay, and we will get the apt value of the machine. All of you clear? So we have to follow the rules of the accounting consistently year after year. Then only it will enable for the comparison also, and we will get the apt accurate result also. Okay. Yes, all of you clear? Yes. See next one, a convention of conservatism. Then convention of materiality, convention of disclosure. See first one, convention of conservatism. So let's move to the points. This is also known as doctrine of prudence. This is a policy of playing safe. As per this convention, the accountant should anticipate all losses and make provision for them, but he should not anticipate profits, unrealized profits. It is because of this convention that we get an idea that accountants are pessimistic, boring people. Conservatism is the defensive accounting mechanism against uncertainty and risk. The valuation of stock on cost price or market price, whichever is less, based on the convention of conservatism. Similarly, it is on the basis of this convention provision is made for bad debts and discount on debtors. See, listen, students. This convention of conservatism is also known as doctrine of prudence. And based on this convention, we should not anticipate future profit. We have to account all possible future liabilities, okay, or future losses, okay. We have to consider all possible future liabilities or losses for the accounting purpose. We should not consider unrealized profit, okay. We should not consider unrealized profit. That is, if there is any possibility of future income, we should not consider that, okay. All of you clear? We have to consider only future possible losses or possible liabilities for the accounting purpose. Okay, we need not consider any unrealized profit. That is convention of conservatism. Okay, for the accounting purpose of stock and bad debt, provision creation, etc. Are based on convention of conservatism. Okay, while we are doing accounting of this inventory, we have to consider cost price or market price, whichever is less. Cost price or market price, whichever is less. For example, in case of an electronic appliances shop, fridge is a stock, no? Fridge. Okay. Fridge cost price 18,000. That is purchase value 18,000. Clear all of you? ഫ്രിഡ്ജ് സ്റ്റോക്കിലേക്ക് എടുക്കുന്ന സമയത്ത് വാല്യൂ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് 18,000 ആണ്. ഓക്കെ, യെസ്. Now its market price 16,000. Clear? Now its market price 16,000. ഫ്രിഡ്ജ് സ്റ്റോക്കിൽ എടുത്ത സമയത്ത് 18,000 ആയിരുന്നു വാല്യൂ. മാർക്കറ്റ് പ്രൈസ് ഇപ്പോൾ വന്നിരിക്കുന്നത് 16,000 ആണ്. So, as per this convention, we have to consider while we are valuing fridge value, we have to consider cost price or market price, whichever is less. Here cost price 18,000, market price 16,000. So we have to consider 16,000 rupees. Okay, at the end of the year we need to account we need to value closing stock. Okay, so while we are valuing fridge, we have to consider 16,000 for fridge value. Okay, yes. Consider another example. Land purchase value 10 lakh. Now its value 12 lakh. While we are valuing land, we have to consider 10 lakh alone. Cost price or market price, whichever is less. Here cost price 10 lakh, market price 12 lakh, lower price 10 lakh. That's why we have to consider cost price here. Clear all of you? Difference? Okay. Yes. Okay. Now we can move to next convention, convention of materiality. See, according to this convention, only the material or important facts about the business are to be disclosed through the financial statements. All other unimportant or less important information should either be totally ignored or recorded as footnotes or merged with important items. If this is not done, accounting statement will be unnecessarily overburdened. Materiality means important, essential, relevant, etc. Whether a matter should be disclosed or not depends on its materiality. Which is material and which not depends upon the discretion of the accountant. The materiality concept does not apply while recording cash transactions. Every cash transaction has to be recorded regardless of the materiality of the amount involved. Okay. While we are accounting, we have to consider materiality also. We have to take material facts of the transaction itself. Okay. Then if it is cash transaction, we have to record all transaction irrespective of material fact. Okay. In order to account cash transactions or bank transaction, we have to consider all the cash transactions or bank transactions for the accounting purpose irrespective of material facts. Clear? Clear? Yes. Next convention of full disclosure. See the explanation. The objective of accounting is to provide true and accurate information. Hence, accounting records and statements should be honest and informative. They should not be misleading. The convention of disclosure requires that all significant information should be disclosed in the financial statements. Further, the accounting records and statements should conform to generally accepted accounting principles. In short, the convention of disclosure requires that accounts and statements should disclose all the information needed for users in a meaningful and clear manner. I think all of you clear. For the accounting purpose, we have to disclose each and everything based on the accounting concepts and conventions. And the disclosure requires that all significant information should be disclosed in the financial statements. So we have to disclose all significant informations in the financial statements. For example, in previous discussion we discussed one depreciation method, written down value method. Yes. If we are following written down value method for the depreciation calculation purpose, we have to disclose the same in the financial statements. Okay. After the preparation of balance sheet, we have to disclose this matter in that financial statements. Okay. Under the balance sheet. Okay. We are following written down value method for the calculation of depreciation of fixed assets. That we have to disclose. So, all important facts should be disclosed in the financial statements. We should not skip the same. Okay. Then, I will say one more example. We are following cost inventory valuation method, that cost price or market price, whichever is lower. That we can disclose in the financial statement. We are following for the inventory value method, that cost price or market price, whichever is less. So I am trying to say this. In case of full disclosure, നമ്മൾ ഫിനാൻഷ്യൽ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻറ്റ്സിൽ എല്ലാ ഡീറ്റെയിൽസും നമ്മൾ ഡിസ്ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യണം എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. നമ്മൾ അക്കൗണ്ടിങ് പർപ്പസിന് വേണ്ടി ഫോളോ ചെയ്യുന്ന എല്ലാ മെത്തേഡ്സും നമ്മൾ ഫിനാൻഷ്യൽ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻറ്റ്സിൽ ഡിസ്ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യണം. ഡിപ്രീസിയേഷന് വേണ്ടി നമ്മൾ റിട്ടേൺ ഡൗൺ വാല്യൂ മെത്തേഡാണ് ഫോളോ ചെയ്യുന്നതെങ്കിൽ അത് നമ്മൾ ഡിസ്ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യണം. നമ്മൾ ഇൻവെൻ്ററി വാല്യുവേഷന് നമ്മൾ കോസ്റ്റ് പ്രൈസ് ഓർ മാർക്കറ്റ് പ്രൈസ് വിച്ചെവർ ഈസ് ലോവർ എന്ന മെത്തേഡാണ് ഫോളോ ചെയ്യുന്നതെങ്കിൽ അത് നമ്മൾ ഡിസ്ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യണം. ഓക്കെ, അതുപോലെ നമ്മൾ ഫോളോ ചെയ്യുന്ന എല്ലാ മെത്തേഡ്സും നമ്മൾ ഫിനാൻഷ്യൽ സ്റ്റേറ്റ്മെൻറ്റ്സിൽ ഡിസ്ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യണമെന്നാണ് ഈ കൺവെൻഷൻ പറയുന്നത്, ഈ ഒരു കോൺസെപ്റ്റ് പറയുന്നത്. ക്ലിയർ? ഓക്കെ, ഐ തിങ്ക് ഓൾ ഓഫ് യു ക്ലിയർ. Yes, next we can move to basis of accounting. 3 bases of accounting are there. First one, cash basis of accounting. Second one, accrual basis of accounting. Third one, mixed basis of accounting. First, let's discuss cash basis of accounting. In order to do cash basis of accounting, in order to follow cash basis of accounting, we have to consider all cash payments and all cash receipts for accounting of transactions. Consider one example. Purchase of goods worth rupees 50,000 for cash. Purchase of goods worth rupees 50,000 for cash. First we need to analyze this transaction, whether it is cash transaction or credit transaction. So, what is the transaction? Purchased goods worth rupees 50,000 for cash. So business purchased goods worth rupees 50,000 and make payment for the same. So cash outflow is there, cash payment is happened. So according to this transaction, if there is cash payment, we have to consider the same for the accounting purpose. So we need to record this transaction in our books of accounts. Thus, all cash payments and all cash receipts should be considered for accounting purpose. Consider another example. Sales made rupees 20,000 to ABC Limited. First we need to analyze this transaction, whether it is credit transaction or cash transaction. See this transaction, sales made worth rupees 20,000 to ABC Limited. They didn't specify anything about check paid, cash paid or received payment, something like that. So we can consider this transaction as credit transaction. So sales made to ABC Limited. ABC Limited will pay back to the business in future that 20,000 rupees. So now we need not consider this transaction. When the ABC Limited make the payment, that time alone we need to consider that sales transaction. So if you are following cash basis of accounting, only cash receipts and cash payments alone considered for the accounting purpose. I think all of you clear. Come to second basis of accounting, accrual basis of accounting. This accrual basis of accounting is also called as mercantile system of accounting. According to these transactions, all amount paid or payable, all amount received or receivable should be considered for the accounting purpose. So all income related to particular period and all expenses related to that particular period should be considered for the accounting purpose. That is mercantile system of accounting or accrual basis of accounting. Nowadays we are following this accrual system of accounting, then only we can ascertain accurate profit or loss of the business, and we can reach the actual financial position of the organization. Consider one example. Salary for the month of March rupees 1 lakh. Salary paid on March 31st rupees 80,000. 20,000 needs to be payable. That is 20,000 rupees balance is there. That 20,000 rupees to be payable to the employees. Yes, if you are following accrual system of accounting, we have to account 1 lakh rupees in salary account as on March 31st. Yes, paid rupees 80,000, salary payable rupees 20,000. So total 1 lakh rupees should be accounted in our books of account and books of accounts as salary under salary head. I think all of you clear. Come to third one, mixed basis of accounting. Under this basis, certain transactions are recorded on cash basis and some other transactions are recorded on mercantile basis. Usually, incomes are recorded on cash basis, whereas expenses are taken on accrual basis. So, if you are following mixed basis of accounting, you have to consider both cash basis of accounting and accrual basis of accounting. In some cases, we are following accrual basis of accounting, and in some other cases, we are following cash basis of accounting. Okay. So, for example, income receivable, that is commission income receivable rupees 10,000. Salary payable rupees 20,000. I will repeat. Commission income receivable rupees 10,000. Salary payable rupees 20,000. While we are following a mixed basis of accounting, in case of commission income, we need not account the same. In case of salary payable 20,000, we have to follow accrual basis. So, in case of commission income accounting, we followed cash basis, and in case of salary expense payable, we followed accrual basis. Likewise, we can select the basis of accounting. Nowadays, we are following accrual basis of accounting. Students, let's move to next topic, double entry system of accounting. Double entry system of accounting. I know you have learned from plus 1 and plus 2 the same and in detail. Now we can discuss the same in brief, and then we can move to the problem. Okay. Then what you understood about double entry system of accounting? Double entry, a fundamental concept underlying present-day bookkeeping and accounting, states that every financial transaction has equal and opposite effects in at least two different accounts. It is used to satisfy accounting equation assets equal to liabilities plus equity. Yes, see children, in case of double entry system of accounting, every debit aspect is having alternate credit aspect. Okay, every debit aspect is having alternative credit aspect. Listen my example. A Limited bought goods worth rupees 50,000. What will be the journal entry? Purchase account debit 50,000 to cash account 50,000. Yes, am I right? Yes. So, goods comes in business and cash outflow is there. Cash goes out from business. Okay, so debit aspect is goods comes in business. That's why we debited purchase account 50,000. Credit aspect is cash account. Cash paid for the same. So cash outflow is there. Cash goes out from the business. That's why we credited cash account. So debit aspect is purchase account. Credit aspect is cash account. Amount is equal. 50,000 goods received and 50,000 cash paid. So every debit aspect is having alternative credit aspect. So the null effect will be 0. Okay, so it should be used for satisfying accounting equation. What is the accounting equation? Assets equal to liability plus equity or capital. Okay, yes. So the receiving aspect of the transaction is called debit aspect and the giving aspect is called credit aspect. Recording of both these aspects in the books to make a complete financial record is called double entry system. Okay, next we can discuss basic terms used in accounting. Yes, first we can discuss transaction. Any exchange of money or money's worth as goods and services between two parties is called a business transactions. Transaction is any exchange of money or money's worth as goods and services between two parties is called a business transaction. So, in case of a transaction, there will be exchange of goods or service in terms of money or money's worth. Okay, transaction means there will be an exchange of goods or services in terms of money or money's worth. Okay, yes, transactions can be divided into two, cash transaction and a credit transaction. In case of cash transaction, immediate payment or receipt of cash will be happened. Immediate receipt or payment of cash will be happened. In case of credit transaction, the payment or receipt of cash is postponed to a future date. Listen my example. Sales made for rupees 50,000 to ABC Limited. While we are considering this transaction, there is no any statement regarding cash received or cash or check received, etc. So it can be considered as credit transaction, and the amount will be payable by the party in a future date. Okay, so it is a credit transaction. If the cash is paid, if the cash or check paid after the transaction happened, then it can be considered as cash transaction. That is immediate payment or receipt of cash against goods or services rendered. I think all of you clear. Next we can move to the word debtor. Debtor is a person who owes money to the business on account of credit sale. I told you earlier, while we are doing accounting, we have to think from the part of business concern. You are the owner, you are doing the business, you are the responsible person of business. Okay, then you can do the accounting work easily. So while we are discussing about a debtor, ബിസിനസ്സിന് ക്യാഷ് കൊടുക്കാനുള്ള ആൾക്കാരാണ് ഡെപ്റ്റേഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. കൺസിഡർ മൈ ലാസ്റ്റ് എക്സാമ്പിൾ. സെയിൽസ് വർത്ത് ₹20,000 to ABC Limited. Here ABC Limited is the debtor of business concern because ABC Limited needs to pay ₹20,000 to business concern against sale. Okay, so debtor is a person who owes money to the business on account of credit sale. ഇവിടെ ബിസിനസ്സിന് ക്യാഷ് കൊടുക്കാനുള്ള ആളാണ് നെക്സ്റ്റ് ടേം ക്രെഡിറ്റർ. Creditor is a person who when the business owes money on account of credit purchases. Business കൊടുക്കാനുള്ള ആൾക്കാരാണ് ക്രെഡിറ്റേഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ബിസിനസ് കൊടുക്കാനുള്ള ആൾക്കാരാണ് ക്രെഡിറ്റേഴ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ, ഇൻ കേസ് ഓഫ് എ ക്രെഡിറ്റ് പർച്ചേസ്, ബിസിനസ് നീഡ്സ് ടു പേ ബാക്ക് ദ എമൗണ്ട് ടു വെൻഡർ ഓർ സപ്ലയർ. For example, credit purchase worth ₹50,000 from B&K Company. What will be the journal entry? Purchase account debit 50,000 to B&K Company 50,000. So here B&K Company is the creditor. So B&K Company is the creditor of business concern. Business B&K Company ki cash 50,000 കൊടുക്കാനുണ്ട് against credit purchase. Okay, so creditor is the person who owes money to the business. Who owes money to the business. Creditor is a person when the business owes money on account of credit purchase. Okay, is the person when the business owes money on account of credit purchase. So next term, goods. Goods are merchandise, commodities, products or things in which a trader deals. Goods എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് സാധനങ്ങളാണ്. Goods are merchandise, commodities, products or things in which trader deals. ഒരു ട്രേഡിംഗ് കൺസേണിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം അവരുടെ ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസിന് വേണ്ടി ഉപയോഗിക്കുന്ന സ്റ്റോക്സ്, അതാണ് ഗുഡ്സ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. കൺസിഡർ ആൻ ഇലക്ട്രോണിക് ഷോപ്പ്. Electronic appliances are considered as goods. Consider another example, that a textile shop, that clothes are considered as goods. Then next term, assets. Assets refers to things of value and rights having money value owned by the business. Assets includes tangible assets and intangible assets. So assets are the goods owned by the business. Assets having some value. Assets are the things owned by the business, it having some value. Assets can be divided into two: tangible assets and intangible assets. Tangible assets can be seen and touched. Intangible assets cannot be seen or touched. Examples of tangible assets: furniture, fan, table, chairs, board, building, etc. are tangible assets. Examples of some intangible assets are goodwill, copyright, patent, etc. We cannot see or touch, but it is assets. We have to measure these assets in terms of money. Yes, all of you got these points? Yes. Next we can move to rules of double entry system. Rules of double entry system. So we can classify accounts into two. See this picture diagram. Accounts may be classified into two: personal accounts and impersonal accounts. Personal accounts again classified into three: natural persons, artificial persons, representative persons. Impersonal accounts again classified into two: real accounts, nominal accounts. Let's discuss personal accounts first, then we can move to impersonal accounts. Consider personal accounts. It can be divided into three: natural personal accounts, artificial personal accounts, representative personal accounts. First we can discuss natural personal accounts. Natural personal accounts are the accounts of human beings. For example, Jamshia's account, Aishat Shamna's account, Raisha's account, Shanida's account, Shamna's account, Saphora's account, etc. Then come to next point, next type, artificial personal accounts. Artificial persons are created by law. Artificial persons are created by law. For example, ICAI, that is the board created as per the law. And bank account, any company's name, any bank's name. For example, Canara Bank account, SBI Bank account, Federal Bank account, then ABC Limited, okay, and Reliance Company, yes, and Godrej Company, etc. are artificial personal accounts. Come to third type, representative personal accounts. These accounts represents a certain person or group of persons. For example, salary payable account, okay, salary outstanding account, okay, prepaid insurance account, prepaid commission account. So all outstanding accounts and all prepaid expense come under this representative personal accounts, or all accrued income account, etc. comes under this head, representative personal accounts. I think all of you clear. Yes, next one, impersonal account. Let's discuss impersonal accounts. Impersonal accounts can be divided into two: real accounts, nominal accounts. Real accounts can be discussed first. Real accounts is also called a property account. These are the accounts of assets owned by the business concerned. These are the accounts of assets owned by the business concern. For example, land, building, stock, cash, bank, etc. Bank means bank account, our bank account, okay, not Canara Bank account, Federal Bank account, something like that. Consider this example. Business is maintaining a current account with SBI. That current SBI current account is considered as real account. Clear all of you? Not whole SBI can be considered as real account. SBI current account we are maintaining there, no. So that SBI current account can be considered as real account. I will repeat the example again. Business is maintaining current account with the SBI. That SBI current account can be considered as a real account. Clear? Okay, cash account, plant and machinery, land and building, stock account, vehicle account, etc. can be considered as real accounts. So real accounts are the assets owned by the business. ബിസിനസ്സിൽ നമ്മൾ ഓൺ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്ന അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മുടെ ഉടമസ്ഥതയിലുള്ള എല്ലാ അസറ്റ്സും എന്താണ്, റിയൽ അക്കൗണ്ട്സിൽ വരുന്നതാണ്. Yes. Next one, nominal accounts. Nominal accounts are the nominal accounts includes all expenses and all incomes, all losses and all gains. Okay. For example, profit on sale of fixed asset, loss on sale of fixed assets. Profit on sale of fixed assets is a gain in gain. Okay, gain of the business. Loss on sale of fixed asset is loss of the business. Then all expenses such as electricity expense, telephone expense, maintenance expense, repair expense, etc. can be considered as a nominal account. Then likewise all incomes, interest on deposit, commission earned, not earned, commission, insurance received, etc. Insurance premium received, etc. can be considered as income of business. It is also comes under the head nominal accounts. Yes, all of you clear classification of accounts? Yes, all of you thorough with the classification of accounts, have a clear idea about accounts, different accounts. Okay, then only we can do the journalizing process properly. Yes. Okay.